WTIM, your information station. It's time now for the WTIM Morning Show. I'm your host, Tim Zalabak. Good to be here with you all. Let's thank our sponsors that make it all possible. People's Bank and Trust, where they put people first, and Landmark of Taylorville, where you always do better at Landmark. In my studio today is Jack Myers, a public affairs specialist with the Social Security Administration. Jack, how are you today?
I'm doing well, Tim. How are you?
I'm doing super well. Thanks so much for being on the air with us today. It felt like you were on maybe a couple of weeks ago, but it's never too much. Can we be educated about the Social Security Administration, especially right now? This is a big season. We got some big announcements to make here. Tell us a little bit about moving into 2024. What can we expect to change?
Yeah, so good news, Tim. As of the start of 2024, more than 71 million Americans will see a 3.2% increase in their Social Security benefits and SSI payments. So letters are on their way out now. Some people have gotten them already. Some are still waiting on them. They're in the process of coming out to tell you what your new benefit amount will be. But this increase is going to be effective with the payment that is received from Social Security in January. So your December payment that's payable in January. And then the SSI payment would normally be paid on the first of the month, but because January 1st is a holiday, and this year that happens to fall on a Monday, that payment will actually be issued the Friday before. So that January SSI payment is going to actually come out December 29th, and that's the one that's going to see the increase with the 3.2%. So those increases are coming soon. We're not too far off from those payment dates. And again, that's a 3.2% increase that will be effective with the first payment in 2024.
Wow. Okay. So big deal right here. And we were talking about a little bit about COLA, COLA. How does this work in, and what is COLA?
Yeah, so great question. So COLA is an acronym. We use a lot of acronyms, and we do our best to kind of, not use them when we're talking to people because we don't want to confuse you. But a COLA acronym stands for cost of living adjustment. So, basically that's what we call this 3.2% raise. And the 3.2 is not a standard or fixed amount. It is an amount that changes from one year to the next. And, basically the purpose of the cost of living adjustment is to ensure that the purchasing power of Social Security and SSI benefits is not eroded by inflation. So these federal benefit rates increase when the cost of living rises. There is a specific measurement of this that this is kind of tied to. The Department of Labor puts out something called the Consumer Price Index for Urban and Clerical Wage Earners. It's called the CPIW. And basically that is that measure of inflation. They put a value out every month. As costs of goods and services get more expensive, as they have in 2023, then that CPIW rises. And basically, since 1975, the Social Security cost of living adjustment has been automatically tied to inflation and to the CPI issue. So, to get to the 3.2, you might wonder, well, how do you end up with 3.2? What's the rationale behind that? And it is pretty specific. It's tied directly to that CPIW. So what happens is we have to compare the average CPIW from the third quarter of the last year. So that would be July, August, and September of 2022 to the CPIW from the third quarter of the current year. So that again is July, August, and September of 2023. And if there is an increase in the average CPIW in the third quarter of 23 or the current year, when compared to the third quarter of the prior year, that increase is what the Social Security cost of living adjustment will be. So in 2023, that CPIW for the third quarter of 2023 increased 3.2% compared to the third quarter of 2022. So that's why we're at 3.2%. That's why you probably have started hearing about this. This came out, the news broke we announced it in mid-October. And that's because that's around the time that September CPIW value comes out. And that's the last piece of the puzzle we need to know what the cost of living adjustment will be in the coming year. So, but yeah, it's coming again, like I said, January of 2024, and letters are on their way out to you now.
Awesome. You mentioned right there, I'd like to kind of revisit it a little bit. Since 1975, this has been the COLA has been tied directly to inflation. That would make a huge difference if it were not by today's standards. If you're looking at a 1975 figure compared to today, that really proves to be working very well. It seems.
Absolutely. That inflation protection is so important with the Social Security benefits because, I mean, as you can imagine, if that wasn't there, the purchasing power of your Social Security and SSI benefits would be greatly reduced from the point you retire, through the end of your life, basically, because that's how long you're going to be receiving benefits. So over that time span, we hope, for folks, that's a nice, long, happy retirement. That purchasing power would erode quite a bit if not for the cost of living adjustment.
Sure. You mentioned letters are being sent out right now. People got to be checking their mailboxes for this information. But is there any action that someone needs to take out there if they do suspect an increase? Do they have to call? Do they have to register for anything? What does that look like?
You do not have to do a thing.
Call.
You don't have to call us and ask us for it. It's going to be automatic if you're receiving benefits. So no worries there. You don't have to fear missing out on it. And also, don't fall victim to any potential scam or somebody calls and says you need to do something to get the cost of living adjustment, because you don't. You don't have to do a thing. If you have your My Social Security account set up to where you are getting notices like this in your message center, you might be able to log into your My Social Security account at ssa.gov now and take a look at your COLA notice. If you didn't set that up in your message preferences, no problem. You could set it up now, and then next year's COLA notice will go to that message center, and you'll have access to it a little earlier.
Sure. And yeah, that all sounds really great right there. Before we move on to our next topic, you mentioned scams right there. Can we get a little scam update? What's been on the what are the scammers' agenda recently? What can we look out for?
Well, this is this is kind of one of them. So that's why I
Yeah.
mentioned it there. It's this time of year that they'll try to prey on people. They know how important these benefits are to folks, and so sometimes they'll try to take advantage of this situation and call people and tell you that you need to do something to activate or to claim your cost of living adjustment. That is definitely not true. You don't have to do that. I can't stress enough the importance of not going along with that, because they're just trying to steal something from you. So if you get a call like that, just hang up. But of course, there are a lot of other things that they do. They call and it's just not going away, these calls. Couple of things to, I guess, point out that you can be aware of to try to avoid becoming a victim is that at Social Security, we're never going to text or email images of one of our employees' official government identification cards. We don't suspend your Social Security number. We don't threaten you with arrest or other legal action if you don't immediately pay a fine or fee. We don't require payments by weird methods such as retail gift cards, wire transfers, internet currency, or cash. Those are all things that the scammers do, and they try to put some pressure on people. They try to make you think that there's some urgent situation, and if you don't act soon, you're going to jeopardize your benefits, or you're going to get in trouble, or, like I said earlier, if you do what they say, then you can get a raise. None of those things are true. So if you get a call telling you something like that, that should be a huge red flag. Hang up. Don't give them anything, because we don't want to see you fall victim to a scam like that. And we've got a lot of info on our website. So if you go to ssa.gov/scams, you can read about a lot of these tips that I just mentioned.
Gosh, just what you mentioned right there is already scary, and how real they make it seem in an email, or they make it seem so actionable and quick that you need to make these adjustments to whatever that you got. You just said it right there, Mr. Jack Myers, that the Social Security Administration, they will not be texting you or emailing you, that kind of stuff. It's very clear when the Social Security Administration is trying to reach you.
Yep. And, I won't say that we never text you, but the text you'll get from us would be, like if you're going to log into your My Social Security account and you get that authentication
Right.
code that you use. So it's stuff like that.
Right.
It's not solicitation.
That makes a ton of sense right there. Going into the website, it actually makes me feel better when I get that verification code through the through my text message, and then you send that code in. That one right there always lines up and never makes me question. But we're going to take ourselves a little break right here. We're sitting down with Jack Myers, Public Affairs Specialist with the Social Security Administration. We got some more interesting topics to cover when we come back, and we will do so in just a little bit. My name is Tim Zalabak, your host of the WTIM Morning Show. Do not go anywhere. We will be right back.
Your information station, WTIM.
It's the holiday season, and there's no better place for a holiday party or family gathering than the new American Eagle restaurant at 102 East Park in Taylorville. Their meeting room holds up to 100 people, and it's available at no additional charge. Call them at 777-0300 to book or just stop by. Enjoy breakfast, lunch, or dinner daily, 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. with everything made from scratch. Check the menu board inside the front door for daily specials. Don't forget seniors, veterans, first responders, nurses, and school staff all get 10% off every day. They're open Christmas Day, 6 a.m. to 4 p.m. The new American Eagle restaurant, 102 East Park, Taylorville.
WSVZ Cruisin' 98.3 has turned into your Christmas music radio station this holiday season. Tune in on air at 98.3 FM or click the WSVZ Christmas music streaming player just under the masthead on TaylorvilleDailyNews.com. Either way, you'll enjoy holiday favorites, whether the traditional songs you love or the new Christmas classics. Put yourself in the holiday spirit by listening to 98.3 FM or click the WSVZ Christmas music streaming player on TaylorvilleDailyNews.com. And Merry Christmas from all of us at the Miller Media Group.
Nominate a special someone for the ultimate gift of better hearing this holiday season. I'm Crystal Baker, owner of Specialized Hearing Solutions in Taylorville and Shelbyville. Again this holiday season, I'm gifting a pair of premium hearing aids and hearing care to someone in need. Your nomination could be a loved one or someone in the community that's deserving for all they do. To enter, go to facebook.com/Specialized Hearing Solutions or call me for more information. 217-824-0411. Specialized Hearing Solutions wishes you the joy of the sounds of the season.
Ho, ho, hey! Where's my trusty elf?
This is so lame.
Hello, Elf Troy.
Why do I have to wear these pointy ears and big shoes?
To help us deliver all the socks we collected to local assisted care facilities.
Yeah, I know. Jansen's Heating and Air does this every year. It's called Socks for Seniors.
That's right, Elf Troy. Ho, ho, ho.
Knock it off.
Or what?
Or I'm going to lay some fingers aside of your nose.
Okay, fine. But we do need sock donations.
Drop off new pairs of holiday socks now through December 22nd at Jansen's headquarters in Effingham. Or give them to your Jansen's Tech during a service call and get $5 off your bill.
We deliver all those socks to our elderly friends and neighbors at local assisted care facilities.
Right. Now, can I please take off these tights?
Ho, ho, ho. But they really compliment your quads, Elf Troy.
I'm going to pretend you didn't say that.
Learn more about Socks for Seniors at jansensheating.com.
QuickStaff, in partnership with IHI Turbo in Shelbyville, are hiring for immediate positions. Find the many positions with immediate openings and apply by clicking their icon at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com.
Taylorville's brightest Christmas tradition, the Taylorville Park District's Christmas in the Park, is back for another year. Check out the calendar of events and this year's dates. You can drive through Manners Park this year by clicking their icon at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com.
Your information station, WTIM.
Welcome back to the WTIM, your information station. We are in the midst of the WTIM morning show. I'm your host, Tim Zalabak. Thank you all for being with us today. And thank you so much to our stream sponsors, People's Bank and Trust and Landmark of Taylorville, where you always do better at Landmark, People's Bank and Trust, where they put people first. We're sitting down right now with Jack Myers, Public Affairs Specialist with the Social Security Administration. That first whole half, we talked about Social Security benefits increasing in 2024 to it's a 3.2% increase. And Mr. Jack Myers explained all that perfectly for us. Now we're going to talk a little bit about, will Social Security be there when I retire? Me even. I'm 22 years old. And Jack, what do I need to know about Social Security benefits even when I retire? It feels like a long way off.
Yeah, it does probably feel like a long way off, but it's always important, I think, to recognize the fact that it's never too early to start thinking about and planning for retirement. And we've got a lot of great tools to help you do that. So if you go to ssa.gov, which is our website, create a My Social Security account for yourself. You can take a look at your Social Security statement, your earnings history, get estimates of your future benefits, see what you would get if you became disabled, or if you have a family, what your family members would get if you passed away. So that's a real powerful financial planning tool. But it doesn't really get into, the will it be there for me when I retire? So that's a question that, I've been with Social Security for 24 years, and I've gotten that question many, many, many times through the years. And, my answer is always yes, it will be. And then we talk a little bit about it. But very recently, there was something put out on our website that I think is just great and something that people should listen to. We have this new thing called SSA Talks, where we started this up in 2023. This is only our second episode, if you will. But this is a short chat with Steve Goff, the Social Security Administration's chief actuary. And, as an actuary, basically, Steve is probably the country's most educated expert on Social Security finances. So this is the guy you want to hear from about the future of Social Security. And he gets into, what it looks like, what's going on, what are the concerns that people have, and why it is going to be there in the future. So it's only about a 12, 13-minute conversation. If you go to ssa.gov/news, you can look for Will Social Security Be There When I Retire? And you can listen to that quick chat with Steve Goff, the chief actuary of Social Security. Like I said, spoiler alert, the answer is yes. He's going to tell you yes. But you want to kind of listen to what he has to say, the why and how we get to that answer.
That sounds really awesome. SSA Talks, another informational source out there for you to find all things Social Security Administration. This sounds awesome. So in this recent episode, talking about will benefits be there when I retire? The answer is yes, you said. But let our listeners know a little bit about what you heard on that episode.
Yeah. So, basically, when you think about the Social Security system, people work and they pay taxes. That's revenue into Social Security. And then through the years, there has been a surplus. So that surplus has gone in. What I mean by that is there's been more revenue from taxes than has gone out in benefits. So that surplus has gone into the trust fund, the Social Security Trust Fund. And so that trust fund now is being used in addition to the payroll taxes. The trust funds are being used to pay the benefits to today's beneficiaries because we no longer have a surplus. We've shifted to where we're paying more out in benefits now than what we're bringing in. And that's the biggest cause that people have for concern, right? That's why people have this concern and this question. But Steve does a nice job of explaining how that works. And, every year there's something that comes out called the Trustees Report, which takes a look at a lot of different economic factors and tries to project how long the trust funds will have money in them and all that. And so the latest report says that basically if there's no change in the way the Social Security system works, the trust fund reserves would be depleted in 2034. But that doesn't mean that Social Security wouldn't be able to pay benefits because we'd still have the payroll taxes coming in. So according to this latest Trustees Report, if that were allowed to happen, Social Security would have enough payroll tax revenue to pay about 80% of scheduled benefits. So it's not ideal by any means. Nobody says that it is, but it's a far cry from nothing, which I think sometimes people get afraid of. They think that there's not going to be anything there, and really that's just not the case.
That clears up a lot of confusion there. Now, you mentioned that 80% will be able to be paid out once those are kind of depleted there. Does that just mean there's going to be less margins there for the Social Security Administration?
Well, we wouldn't really know what that means. And, that's never been allowed to happen.
Good.
There's a lot of time between now and then where, Congress could take action to not let it get to that point.
Yeah.
And that they've never let it get to that point in the past. So we don't know exactly what that would look like, how that would be effectuated, if you will, if it got to that point. But, really don't expect it to.
Yeah, it sounds like we do not have to worry about that. Just wanted to ask that for our last seconds there. Mr. Jack Myers, we are out of time. I appreciate you speaking to us today, getting us all informed.
All right. Thanks, Tim. Appreciate you having me on.
Absolutely. That's Jack Myers, Public Affairs Specialist with the Social Security Administration. My name's Tim Zalabak, your host of the WTIM Morning Show. Thank you all for listening.
Now, Big 870 WTIM Assumption Taylorville, 96.1 W241 CF Taylorville, 107.5 W.